Hello everyone and welcome into a new series. Today we are doing fantasy football waiver wire ads. Make sure to watch the full video and definitely let us know if you want us to do sit starts as well. We really do everything on this channel, so make sure to subscribe and let's get into our fantasy football week 9 waiver wire ads, and I hope you enjoy. Going into player number 1, we have Corey Davis. I love Corey Davis, and the problem is I think with this player, he may, and I'm assuming will probably be on majority of rosters. I'm in an 8-person PPR league, and I know he's picked up, but I feel like that was simply because of just players on bye. But I feel like 12-man league, 10-man, he may be already on a roster. But if he isn't, from last week especially, I know he was a hot receiver brought in about, 26.9 points. He had a touchdown, over 100 yards receiving, and he's starting to become Tannehill's, number one, I guess-ish option. A.J. Brown obviously out with injury, so Tannehill created this bond with him, and Corey Davis is looking at a lot of receptions. He's looking at double-digit targets in the last 2 weeks, which is great, obviously, in PPR because you get points per reception. So as I said, looking at double-digit targets in the last 2 weeks, definitely Tannehill's, I would assume, number one against the Bengals, having an incredible game there. And he's been getting at least 11 points, which is really good. That's consistency, which is something that is not hard to come by, but especially in a waiver wire player, it's either they're really volatile or they're a hit or miss, or it's hard to find a consistent player, and Corey Davis is. If he is there, definitely pick him up. I think he's a wide receiver 2, I would say, low end, but he has, the production to be a wide receiver 1 on certain games, and definitely a flex, especially in PPR leagues. I think he's definitely a flex wide receiver 2, and if really you have nothing, wide receiver 1, definitely pick up Corey Davis if he is there. The only problem is I think red zone, definitely Derrick Henry takes away majority of that unless it's third down, and even then they might push it in with him. So he's looking at touchdowns from 20 yards out, I would say. But yeah, Corey Davis, pick him up. He's in your leagues. Damian Harris, and I hate Patriots players. I don't like their running back options. Damian Harris, although he's had 2 100 yards rushing games, and running backs are just really hard to find on waiver wires once it gets to at least 8 people in a league. So two 100 rushing yard games, that's really good. You're bringing in a lot of points there. He gets a lot of attempts, but another thing is it really does depend on volume, as I'm sure you've heard from everywhere, from the fantasy football app, from clicking on their videos, that he's a volume heavy back. It depends. He sometimes might get a lot of carries, he sometimes might not, and he really at the end of the day splits touchdowns with Cam Newton if they want to rush it in with him, and I know they feel comfortable doing that. The good thing is he got 10 carries the last 2 games, got a touchdown last game, played good against a pretty good Bills defense, and now he's going up against a Jets team, which is the worst in the league. That defense is bad. I think you're looking here, he could, boom for 20 this game. You're looking at least 10 carries, I would say, and I think one breakout carry that could get him a ton of yards there. And with the Pats receivers really just not being there and not being that consistent, they might lean on him if he continues to produce. So you're looking at a player you could start at flex, I would say, for a lot of weeks coming if he does play well and gets volume this week. Number 3, Marvin Jones. I would say this should be your number 1 fantasy target, at least waiver wire in terms of projection wise. Kenny Goldie obviously injured, week-to-week injury. He is out this week. Could be out even more. So again, if you pick Marvin Jones up, you could have him for several weeks in a wide receiver 2 to a flex. But he's just really good, and Marvin Jones has always been a good receiver. So he had a 2 touchdown game. I know he didn't have that many receptions. I believe he had 39 yards. 29 or 39. I might be wrong with that number, but he saw 2 touchdowns last week, which is really good for a flex. He saw 2 touchdowns. He's going up against a bad Vikings secondary, so this matchup is great. And as well, when he's targeted 7 or more times, he averages 17 points, which is incredible. That's really good. For this week, you're looking at least 5 receptions on the low end. He could get a lot. I think this is a volatile player. I think the floor for him is a bit bad, assuming he doesn't get a touchdown, because I feel like that's the main majority of points he got last week. But yeah, Definitely get Marvin Jones. He's a really good, productive wide receiver. It's all there. Pick him up if he's on your waiver wires, which I think he should be in most. So this is a definitely number one target you want to get. Is Dexter Williams, and I know, never heard of that name. And to be honest, I haven't really either. I started Jamal Williams last week, incredible, 18 points. But A.J. Dillon got corona, so Jamal Williams has been ruled out. Aaron Jones is questionable and currently not projected points, which is bad, but good for Dexter Williams. Dexter Williams was pulled up from the practice squad. I think he's been pulled up, demoted, pulled up, demoted. This is definitely the most risky choice. I feel like this is a player, if you have other options, don't go for him. For example, if Damian Harris is there, go for him. There's a lot of other players, but I would not stay away from him, but I feel like on the high end, he could be good. He could be seeing, 14 or 13 plus carries. I'm looking, 60 yards, maybe 50 plus yards, and maybe a red zone touchdown. But Devontae Adams has been consuming all of their touchdowns ever in any point on the field. So, and I don't know reception-wise, it's a high end for him to be a good, good catching back. So this one is definitely going to be a game time decision. By the time this video is out, Aaron Jones might be ruled in. We'll see. But I would definitely pick him up. I think if this is a game time decision, it's Sunday and you don't have one, which you shouldn't be doing if you're a fantasy owner. But if you need one, pick up Dexter Williams. Assuming Aaron Jones is out, he should be good. I think he's looking at at least 10 plus game, assuming he can do some type of production with the offensive line. The defense, and this is the Texans defense, and there's several factors onto why I love this matchup. One, because the Texans had their highest scoring fantasy game against the Jaguars, their defense with 8, and that was with Minshew, their starting quarterback. The Jags are arguably starting a third string, Jacob Lutton, I think Lowton, because Glennon, whatever, they're second, third string, not first string quarterback. So he is susceptible to throwing interceptions, susceptible to fumbling, not playing smart in the pocket, getting pressured. J.J. Watt should feast against his offensive line. So you could be looking at 2-3 sacks on the high end, maybe 5-6, which might be a wild prediction, but I feel like that could happen. Maybe a pick 6, who knows, against these inexperienced quarterbacks, and maybe strip sack. So you're looking at points that could add up, especially against, James Robinson, though, in that backfield. I think he'll be getting a lot of production, so he could be scoring touchdowns. But I think pick up the Texans defense. I feel like this is a defense that definitely should be on your waiver wire. So pick them up if they're there. Definitely get them in onto your starting lineup. But let's get into our last waiver wire pickup. This one I haven't seen, and I always try and add in players that I like and I think aren't mainstream waiver wire. Darnell Mooney, the wide receiver from the Chicago Bears. And the reason I like this is I think last week he established his spot. He was a key player on this Bears offense. He had 5 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown, red zone touchdown. And he's definitely a deep threat receiver on play action. Nick Foles looks for him, as Allen Robinson is more of a short-ish route receiver, mid-route receiver. I think he had a 50-yard reception, or has the chance to get 50-yard receptions and big catches for those big touchdowns. Now they're going against Tennessee, and their main first of all, they're not a good secondary, and their main focus will be Allen Robinson. So you're looking at a player that could get a ton of production, especially against a secondary that's not good and can give up massive plays. So you could be looking at a 70-yard touchdown from Darnell Mooney. He has the speed. He's good. Pick him up. And he's been getting 5-6 targets, so you're probably looking at a little bit more, and he's been getting back-to-back targets, so go pick him up if he is in yours. Make sure to comment down below anybody we missed, any fantasy advice, not only waiver wire, start, sit, and let us know if you guys want us to keep this series. We really do anything we do, predictions, soccer, and basketball, so we'll try to get as much content out to you guys as we can. But that's our fantasy advice for this week, and we've been getting a lot of requests to do fantasy stuff, so we were like, let's give it a shot. Hopefully we'll have Surge, Dylan, or Charlie on one of these next ones there as well, good at fantasy. Well, Dylan isn't, but we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Pick up these players as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. It does mean a lot, and we'll see you in our next video. Good luck this week.